Oh, snap. It basically just got repossessed. The previous owner is who did this to the vehicle. The entire turbocharger, full methanol injection system. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So today is another amazing video. We are working on the 2022 Toyota Supra A91 CF edition, guys. But today, guys, we are going to pick up tons of parts. As you guys can see, I got pages on top of pages of parts that we have ordered here, guys, and we are coming over to this dealership now to pick those parts up because they have all arrived. And I also bought this cool jacket here last time I was here, this Toyota jacket. I love this thing, but I'm gonna take it off now when we go inside because it is crazy hot today, guys. So I just want to show you guys the jacket real quick. You probably saw it on Instagram already, but yeah, guys, let's go ahead and head inside and get some parts for our Supra build. Hey, how you doing?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh. I'm back. So how you doing today, Aiden?
Busy.
Busy?
Busy. Which one is this one? This is what you guys got on Saturday?
Yeah, this got to be the first order, the 334.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's all that in there. It was kind of just a bunch of small.
Yeah, it was.
Small stuff. What kind of car are you guys in? Supra?
No, it's a Ford Expedition.
Cool. Because I have all the big stuff here. I have one of the wheels. I just gotta go up and grab the other one.
Yeah. Let's see what we got. Oh, dude, yeah. All that stuff right there. Oh, look at that. The clip is in there too.
Can we go throw it all in a cart? That
Yeah.
one's just easier just to grab. So
Okay.
Go grab that other wheel, and then just go get a cart for
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Well, this is like a bunch of like little knickknacks here and there, but we're gonna go over all these parts when we get back to the shop. So we're just gonna pick. I know it's some pretty exciting stuff here, guys. It was very hard to get all this stuff. We'll explain more on all these things when we get back to the shop. But we have a lot of parts to load up into the car. These are the small things, but there's a lot of big stuff too. All right, guys, check out how amazing this dealership is here. They actually went ahead and they marked everything for me. Like they went over all the parts to see if it was all here. So I'm gonna take their word for it. I don't even need to check that stuff, guys. That's just epic.
I just scoot all that stuff first.
All right, let's see it. Dude, I'm excited.
Right there.
Oh, snap.
That's clean.
19 inches.
Yeah.
Some thick old boys.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for these. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Remember how I told you about that gasket?
Yeah.
So that was a CPOR, so campaign. Watch me tell you what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, campaign part order request.
Okay.
So that was like a special doohickey or something, right?
Okay.
So we had everything come in, except for that one there,
Okay.
and then that one at the top. Those are the only two that didn't come in because they were CPOR too.
Okay.
I was like, of all things, little plastic pieces.
Does it have an ETA?
With these ones, where like our Phoenix warehouse is, they don't even have it.
Oh, okay. Exciting stuff. This mic's supposed to be like omnidirectional, so I hope it's like actually catching the audio.
I think it is.
Two that are circular ones that didn't come in.
These are upstairs.
Oh, that's
They're
it?
like yeah.
Oh.
Like the little.
We'll keep them on order, and if they show up, then great. If not, then we'll see what we can do. But we'll just keep them on order for now. They're not like a mechanical thing, so
At least that's the.
yeah, it's just a little dress-up rivet. I'm happy that the parts that didn't show up aren't like something that's gonna stop us from building it.
I mean, those you can always just pop right in.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
It's like it's literally the last thing to go in too.
yeah.
I know. I'm planning on bringing the car by when it's done so I can show it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel said that you guys had an Instagram page. That
Oh,
you
yeah,
had
yeah.
Charters and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, man. That's half of that.
First part.
Yeah. Some nice stuff right here. That's the skid plate.
At least the skid plate's in a box. It's exciting.
Dude, I know parts make me happy.
my area is clean now.
Now you got all that free real estate back there.
Now, finally. Until we get another car.
Yeah, that's right. Whoa.
Squeeze it.
Well, let's squeeze. Might have to do some stacking. All right. Yeah.
Turn it the other way. Actually, right there. Right
Yeah,
there.
that'll do it right there.
Right there. Here.
We got the inner fenders. You just put them right on top right here. And then we gotta put these in a strategic way, I bet.
These ones are.
It's like playing Tetris.
Yeah. don't really want to bend it. It's not really gonna bend.
Yeah, if it'll bend a little bit, it'll be fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
You
you
think
can
it'll
bend it a
close?
little bit.
You think it'll close though?
I think it'll close, yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
The car does a good job closing. It should close.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah,
Let's see if it
close
closes. Yeah, it closes.
Cool.
Sweet.
All right, guys.
Yeah, hey, I got a
Thank you
quick
so
question
much.
for you.
Yeah.
We're making a little YouTube video. Are you cool with being in it?
I don't really care.
You don't care? All right.
I don't really care. PC2.
Thank you
Yeah.
so
All
much.
right, guys. Let me know
Alright.
the next one then.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Thank you, man. Yeah, see you around. Guys, dude, Aiden is a champ, dude. I love that guy. The papers just fell like 50 sheets. Guys, the people here at this parts department are absolutely amazing. This is our first Toyota build, guys. This is amazing, but just take a gander back there, guys. Look at all that. The Supra is coming together, guys. That's literally everything. A lot of parts we just picked up from the dealership, but a lot of parts we also got online at the house that are in the car, guys. Guys, the Supra's coming together. Let's head to the shop. It shouldn't be too long until we're there because we're just gonna do a funny little transition. So let's go ahead and go to the shop. All right, guys, so we're back at the shop here, but we're not gonna go over the parts just yet. They're right behind the camera, but we're gonna go over those in a second. Real quick, I do wanna go over a little bit of a recap of the last video on this car and the damages that are still on it. So in the last video, all we did was we picked up the vehicle. We didn't go over any of the damages too much, but now we are going to do that. So the first thing we're gonna go ahead and start off is I'm gonna point out to you guys every area where this car was modified, because this car was very heavily modified, and I'll explain to you guys why in a moment as well. And I'm also going to show you guys the areas where this car needs work done to it. Starting off with here, 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 and here, here, here. All of these things here, here, stickers for added horsepower, 5 horsepower each. So I'm pretty sure you guys get the idea. This car has had lots and lots of mods done to it, and it needs lots and lots of work in a lot of different places. Basically, every area on this car that was modded needs work. So I think it's time to tell you guys the news on what happened to this car and how it got to the condition that it is in now. Let's go to news reporter Rayon. Yeah, put news reporter Rayon outside in the freezing cold. You know, he's only the new guy.
We're live.
What?
We're live.
We're live? Like right now?
Yes.
Oh. Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the news broadcast. So today we are covering this story on how the Toyota Supra came to be in this insane condition. The people that have this car do not know that I am here currently, so we have to keep a low profile right now. But real quick, I do want to mention the story behind this car. From what it seems like I did from my research and due diligence, it seems like this car was financed by the previous owner. It seemed like the seller for this car on the auction was Toyota Financial Services, which is the leasing company for Toyota. So looking into that a little bit further and doing some more due diligence with that information, we found out that this car seemed to be repossessed from somebody's driveway, most likely the previous owner, maybe. So, and it said there on paperwork that it was a little bit of payment issues for that, but we do not know why the car ended up in this condition. But you know, there was some paperwork, so you know, why not hire some people to get a little bit nosy, you know, for old me. So you know, they were able to look into some paperwork that was stapled with the vehicle's title, and they found out that there was some repossession forms on it that shows that this car was taken from somebody's property for failure to make payments or something like that. So it seems that maybe potentially the owner could have known that this was going to happen, and that's how the car ended up in this condition. You know, maybe he took everything off. We don't really know. It seems that maybe this car was being taken from this address without the previous owner knowing, because there was no keys provided, and all the paperwork that the owner was supposed to sign was signed for by the leasing company, or stamped or something else. I don't know. I didn't really get into all that. Us news people don't really focus on that stuff. But hey, this is quite the automobile over here. Maybe they wouldn't mind if I just came inside real quick to take a little gander, you know, gather some more information for my story. Oh wow. Oh, this is pretty cool. Oh wow. Wow, guys, this is gonna make a really good story. Oh my. Oh, hello!
You're not supposed to be in here.
I'm just gathering some information for my story.
What is all this?
Thanks for that news reporter, Rayon. Not too sure what happened there, but you guys now know the story behind this car, somewhat. But yeah, that's essentially what happened to it. It basically just got repossessed. We don't really know the whole story about it. As you could tell, that guy's not really that great of a reporter. He basically didn't even get all his facts straight. He literally came in here. It was really weird. But yeah, no, don't really know. It was just it seemed like it was financial things according to some paperwork. But yeah, long story short, it got repoed, and this is the condition that the car was in when the repossession company picked it up. And now we picked it up, and it seems like a pretty good build. You know, we just did all that just for those who were wondering what happened to this car, because some people do want to know how something like this happened. I have gotten a few questions on Instagram and on YouTube and in the comments, things like that. People are asking what happened to this car. So I thought, you know, we quickly hire some weird third-party news guy to clear the air. So yeah. So guys, now you guys know the story behind this car. It's pretty crazy what had happened to this thing. Basically, the previous owner is who did this to the vehicle, and we don't have a key. We don't have a lot of the parts for this car. A lot of mechanical things are gone from this car. We're basically looking at this car and going from basically what's here and just a bunch of diagrams online to get all the parts. Aiden at the parts department, he was a huge help. I was at that dealership for probably 2, 3, 4, 5 hours for like the span of 3 days, where we just went over tons and tons of diagrams to get all the parts ordered for this car, and we finally got them. And now we can go ahead and just start looking at those diagrams and putting this car together like a big old Lego set without instructions, because we did not take apart any of this, guys. This is a really big challenge that I'm taking on, because I have no idea what stuff was missing. I just knew like the obvious things that were missing, but those diagrams helped a lot figuring out all the other stuff that was missing, like gaskets and little screws and retainer things and some wiring harnesses too, guys. So we were able to figure all that stuff out. But now what we got to do, guys, is we got to put this whole thing together and get this thing mechanically going. But the first thing we got to do is get a key program to this car, which is, so right here, guys, we have a key for this car, but we cannot program it just yet. So if you guys come over closer right over here, you can see that there is the ECU right over there, and I cannot seem to get power to the ECU or communication with the ECU. Like, we cannot do anything to do with the ECU, and that includes programming this key. So after doing some digging and looking around this car, guys, I managed to figure something out. So if you come over here and you follow these two big old cords running from the ECU, they run all the way to this side of the engine here onto the fuel rails. So as you guys can see, one of the fuel rails is actually missing, and then this whole bracket is actually disconnected from the fuel rail. Now, you wouldn't think that would be a problem, but if you look at the back side of this harness right here, those are grounds on both sides that get bolted down to the fuel rail, guys, and that's what gives the ECU ground and power, guys. So that is the reason why I cannot get communication to this thing right now. Once we get those things screwed in, we can get communication on this car, and we are hopefully going to be getting this key programmed in today's video, guys, because we have all those parts needed to get that thing grounded. All right, guys, so now talking further into the modifications and damage that's on this car, if you guys look over here into this part of the engine bay section, there's a whole lot missing right here. And from what I know is missing right now is you have the entire turbocharger missing. The full exhaust system, the downpipe cat, that is also completely missing. They took that whole thing except for the downpipe cat. As you guys know in the last video, we actually did have that. It was dangling there in the engine bay. And there's a few more parts to this car that we do have that I'll show you guys in a moment that were actually in the trunk. So talking a little bit about these wheels, these are skinnies right here. The purpose of a skinny, essentially, it's more so for drag racing. You don't need these type of tires and wheels on public roads. I don't even know if they're allowed. They might be, maybe in some states, maybe not in all. But the purpose of these, essentially, from what I've done my research on and found out, is mostly weight reduction for when you're racing people, and then also it has lower drag because it's less of a surface area for wind to hit. It's a lot thinner. So that's one thing right there. But these wheels right here, these skinny rims right here, these are Titan 7T60 forged rims right here. So they're probably pretty pricey, honestly. I haven't looked into them, but these are some drag rims right here. They're pretty skinny right here. And then right here we have some Mickey Thompson ET front tires right here for drag racing. These tires are flat because it's cold and this car has been sitting here, so it did get flat, but these tires and rims are good, guys. But we are not going to be running these. We're going to run the stock Toyota wheels and tires, and it's going to look absolutely sick. And when this car's all done, we're gonna have those wheels and tires on it. You're gonna see the red brake calipers a lot better, guys. And once they're clean too, because take a look at that, guys. It looks absolutely amazing. I cannot wait until we address this wheel and tire situation here, guys. The rear wheels on this car are stock, so we don't really have to worry about much in the rear end other than like the fuel pump and the exhaust and some stuff inside the trunk. But yeah, most of the damage on this car is up in the front and a little bit under it that we have to address, again, like the exhaust and mounts and things like that. And Mickey Thompson's, they're a pretty well-known brand in the world of drag racing. It's a really good brand, honestly. It's not like an off-brand or anything. So these are some pretty good tires right here, and I'm pretty sure these are some pretty good rims too. They almost remind me of TE37s. I think they kind of stole that design right there, but they are forged according to this little placard right here that says forged. But yeah, these look like some pretty nice wheels, pretty nice tires, but we are going to be replacing them with some better wheels and tires. So guys, there's tons of mods that were on this car, from the turbocharger to the upgraded exhaust to the tune that's on the inside to a bunch of just wiring being routed through this car. And there's probably a lot more stuff that we will find on this car as we work on it. But one thing I want to talk about real quick, this giant red line, you guys see that runs right here over the strut tower and runs all the way back there through the chassis. And then it runs over here under this wiring harness through the engine right here. This right here, if you look between the throttle body, this is like a little coupler right here between the throttle body and the intake manifold. And this right here has like the wiring connections on the underside of it where these red lines go through. This right here is a full methanol injection system. Now, some of you guys actually were able to figure that out and inform me about that in the comments. So thank you guys so much for that. I actually really appreciate that. But when we got this car, guys, we just did a quick Google search right there, found out that that was methanol. And that's pretty crazy, guys. I've never seen anything like this before. When we first got the car, I was questioning if it was nitrous, but methanol was also there in my mind. I had no idea what this line was. And then there's just a bunch of wiring being run over this car everywhere. And if you guys look over here, like they took so much stuff. There's fuel lines missing. The high pressure fuel pump is gone. The regular fuel pump under the car is gone too. The charge pipe and a bunch of ducting, the engine cover, like a bunch of stuff has been taken apart on this car. Cross members, like things that you wouldn't even think would be taken off of this car are taken off of this car. So that's what kind of makes it hard to build it, is that there's stuff missing everywhere. But thankfully, guys, we've rebuilt some pretty nasty damaged cars. So it helps a little bit in the sense of figuring out where some stuff goes. But another crazy thing I want to show you guys is right here in the door sill of this driver's side door. So if you guys open this door and take a look right here in the floorboard, guys, take a look at all this wiring just right here. This is not original. Somebody did some serious wiring here for this methanol system. As you guys can see, this is the methanol line running right here, and then these are just a bunch of positives and grounds and other things for that whole system right there, guys. And it runs all the way through out here up to here behind the dashboard, guys. And then there's the tune part of it that comes right here onto the gauge cluster. There's a lot going on with this car, guys, and a lot that we have to fix on it. And the wiring mess on this car does not help with that. But this car is still brand new, guys. As you can see, the plastic is still on it. This car only has 9,000 miles, guys. Pretty mint condition car, honestly. This A91 CF edition is absolutely awesome. And real quick, I do want to talk about the name of this car. So A91 CF. So the CF stands for carbon fiber. It's a CF edition, carbon fiber edition. And then the A91 is actually like the iteration of the Mark V Supra. So they had the A90 and the A91. The A90, I believe, came out in 2020, but the A91, it's basically the exact same car, but it has some refreshes. The engine has more horsepower and some things here and there. They just kind of refreshed it. So that's what A91 is. It's basically like the iteration in a way, or like the version, I guess you could say. It's the version of the Mark V Supra. It's the A91 version, not the A90. So that's the name in the title right there. All right, guys, so I think that pretty much covers everything on the damages and history of this car. I know there's a lot going on with this thing right now, guys. That car does not have any accident damage. It is purely just mechanical damage going on. But now you guys can see we have quite the foundation of parts for this car, guys. There is a lot of stuff that we have for this car, and this just gives you guys a rough idea of how much stuff was removed from that car, guys. It's absolutely insane. All right, guys, so before we go over all that new stuff right over here, we're gonna go over all the stuff that we actually ended up finding in the trunk of this car, guys. There's some pretty useful stuff right over here, guys. So we have the energy absorber for the front bumper, and then we have some fuel lines right here. We have one of the supports for the turbocharger. The other one is still connected to the engine. Lots of nuts and bolts. We have the washer fluid line, some heat shields, the tow hook, that one grill section. We have floor mats. We have an insulator for the engine bay. We have some pipes and some covers. We have the locking ring for the fuel pump that gets mounted to the gas tank. We have the clamp that mounts the exhaust to the cat or the downpipe. And then right here we have the engine cover, but as you guys can see, this thing has been cut in half essentially. I'm guessing that he must have had some type of mod there that was taking up space and maybe he cut it or something. Not too sure why this is cut. I do know that sometimes they'll upgrade the intake manifolds, but that car does have a stock intake manifold on it, so I'm not too sure on why this was cut. But just because this was cut, we did have to buy a new one of these as well. And then we just have a bunch of other things. We have a coil pack right here with the screw on it. We have this thing right over here, which I actually am seeing for the first time now. I thought we were missing this. So you guys might see this in the parts when we go over it. So I guess we don't need this piece, but this is here too. We have another part of the grill. So we have two parts of the grill. This makes up that whole piece that goes in the bumper there. Then there's a cold air intake right here that is actually just cut up and everything. And I didn't really like the look of putting a cut up intake system on that car. So we just ordered a stock one. Maybe some way we'll mount the cold air system on it, but I don't really have an issue with putting a stock airbox on it right now. That way we can kind of start from scratch on building this car the way we want. And then we have some brackets right here, and then for whatever reason, the sun visor is broken, so this is something that we have to replace as well. All right, guys, so that about does it for everything that came out of the trunk of this car. Now we have some brand new parts for this thing right here, guys. So let's go ahead and start in the back right over here with some under shielding and shielding for this car. So we have a two-part inner fender right here, guys. This is for the front passenger side. We are missing it, so we have that right there. We have under shielding for the left side, under shielding for the right side, and under shielding for the middle. That does it for all of the old parts that were in the trunk of this car. All the under shielding. Now it's time to unbox some stuff. So let's just go ahead, guys, and start opening up some boxes. I know with the damage on the Supra, it could get a little bit overwhelming and confusing on what actually needs to be done with that car, guys. And for me, it still is a little bit overwhelming and confusing what needs to be done. But hopefully showing you guys the parts that we're going to be throwing at this thing helps give us a better idea of what needs to be done to that Supra. Okay, this is our first part right here that is going to be going in that engine bay. In this box here, we have an OEM high pressure fuel pump and the lines that go to it. Obviously, these are lines. We all know what these do. These just connect to one line and another, and these transfer fluid, or more specifically, gasoline. Now, the purpose of a high pressure fuel pump, this gets mounted on the top of the engine, and the way this works is that the regular fuel pump that's mounted to the gas tank is pulling gasoline out of that tank, and it's following up the lines and partially through some of these lines too, and this line, and then they're coming up to the high pressure fuel pump, and this is feeding it down into the engine, into the injectors, into the cylinder heads, things like that. So the job of this device right here is to feed the engine with the proper amount of fuel that it needs to combust correctly. So that's the purpose of this thing. Let's move on to the next part. Okay, this is a decently bigger box than the last one, but this one has, let's put it down here. This box contains a stock air box with all the parts that we need and the inlet tube for the airbox. So some of you might recall that this car did come with the cold air intake. However, that cold air intake is missing some pieces and parts, and it is cut. So we're just gonna go ahead and do a stock airbox for now, just so we can get this car put together and driving. So this part goes right here onto the airbox. This part goes onto the inlet part of the turbocharger, and then there's an outlet part of the turbocharger as well. That connects to the throttle body and a different hose. Let's go grab that one now. So this right here is the charge pipe. This connects in the car like this. This part is the throttle body. This part is the outlet part of the turbocharger. So the airbox connects to the inlet. This one connects to the outlet. And that pretty much completes the entire circulation of the whole air intake system right there. This box right here contains some more fuel related parts. So opening up this bubble wrap right here, we are greeted by a very pristine looking fuel rail, guys. So on the car right behind me, we have one fuel rail, but we are missing the other. Now this right here plays a very, very big part in possibly getting this key programmed, or at least getting this ECU to communicate with the rest of the car. I will explain more on this when we go to program the key. In this bubble wrap right here, we have the fuel tank mounted fuel pump, guys. So the purpose of this is to suck the fuel out of the fuel tank and put it through all those lines that take it up to the high pressure fuel pump. And then from there, that high pressure fuel pump feeds it into the fuel rails and the fuel injectors and every other area of the engine that needs fuel. I just brought over this extremely heavy box, and this box right here has some very cool stuff inside. Let me show you. So the first thing in this box is the fuel injectors on a fuel rail. So all I needed was the fuel injector themselves. The rail that's on here right now is actually the rail that we have in the car, because the rails are a little bit different on this car. So you have this fuel rail right here, but then you have this one that we're missing in the car. This one has a connector on it, which this one does not. But all I needed from this rail right here is the fuel injectors, because they're all the same. So we're just gonna swap over the fuel injectors from this rail to this rail, and we'll have a complete fuel rail with injectors that we were missing. The purpose of the injectors is to spray just a mist of fuel into the combustion chamber so it can mix with the air so the pistons can combust and keep that engine rotation going. All right, I just moved my seat back for this next one because this one is a monstrosity of a part. Right over here, we have the entire turbocharger. So right here, we have the exhaust manifold with the turbocharger in all the lines. So the purpose of this whole system right here, air comes through the air box, goes into this inlet port of the turbocharger. The turbocharger takes the air and it grabs a bunch of it essentially, and it like whirls it up and it makes a bunch of air inside, and it pushes out the air with a bunch of PSI or boost through the charge pipe into the throttle body. That goes into the combustion chamber, feeds into the fuel air mixture from the high pressure fuel pump and the fuel injectors. And basically more air means more power, and that's why these turbochargers have boost, which when you step on the gas, they spool up, it forces air into it, and you like feel the jolt of the turbos kicking in. That's the job of this. And then these lines, this is a coolant line to cool the turbos. This is an oil line to oil the turbos. Same with this one right here, it's also an oil line, and I believe this one is an oil line as well. Then all of that power works its way around the engine and then comes through these 6 ports of the exhaust manifold and comes in here and enters into the downpipe, the cat, and the full exhaust system. And essentially this just cleans like the air that's coming out of the car for emissions. So this is like part of the exhaust, and then up here is like all turbocharger related stuff with the lines and everything. I'm pretty sure that's how the system works. I'm still learning, but I think we're doing pretty good so far. Then next, right here, we just have some dress up pieces that go inside the engine bay. This is just to make it look pretty and hide all the wires and fuse boxes and things like that. And then we have 2 big old bags from the dealership that contain a bunch of nuts, bolts, and gaskets for everywhere around the engine bay and exhaust system and fuel tank system, everywhere. So let's start with this bag and then we'll move on to this bag. So as you guys can see, one bag in, there's a lot of stuff here. So the first thing we have is a gasket for the front bumper seal. And then we have some plugs for the underside of the hood. We have some more plugs for the underside of the hood. We have some push rivets for a gasket that goes on top of the strut tower. We have the center caps for the rims, which wait until I show you guys those rims. They're absolutely beautiful. And then these 3 bags right here contain screws to fasten the bumper to the car. These 4 nuts connect the hood to the hinges. These are the strikers for the hood. These are cushions that go under the hood, and these help adjust the gaps for the way your hood sits when it's too low or too high. That's what these are. We have some screws for the under trays. We have these big old screws for a very large skid plate that goes under the car. And then just some more screws and nuts right here. Bag number 2. So first things first, 2 TPMS sensors for the wheels, a line for the turbocharger. We have this line on our turbocharger, but there's a very small clip that we're missing. Only way to get that clip is to order a new line, so that's what we have here. Some screws for the fuel injectors, a gasket for the fuel pump that gets mounted to the gas tank, a gasket that goes in between the very large clamp that clamps the catalytic converter to the exhaust manifold, a gasket that goes inside of the charge pipe, a gasket that goes on the turbo lines, another gasket that goes inside of the intake system, a ring that goes onto the charge pipe, a clamp, some more screws and nuts and bolts, another gasket, some more screws, some more clamps, and then some more screws for the turbocharger. And I did order some extra stuff here just in case we are missing more than I thought we were. I just ordered some extra stuff here just in case. So lots of screws and gaskets and clamps in this bag right here. And that's the second bag done. So before we move on to anything else, guys, I just want to say, so far what you guys have seen is a lot of crazy mechanical parts, especially lots of gaskets and screws, which took a really long time to figure out what we were missing, and a bunch of research and a bunch of time went into just trying to find what parts we needed for this thing, guys. We've built some pretty crazy stuff in the past, guys, but I'd say this car with the mechanical damage it has is a completely new challenge, and I am definitely learning a lot. Every build that we get, like the Mustang over there, I'm always learning so much about cars from each car that we work on. And we've done mechanical damage before. Just literally just ask the Camaro. If you guys haven't seen that series, the SS1 LE we rebuilt, that car had some pretty crazy damage as well. But that car taught us a lot about wiring as well. And the stuff that we learned from all these cars over the past is what's helping us build something like this. We could have never have built something like this as our first car that we were rebuilding, because this is just something on a whole nother level. But I'm hoping that everything I'm showing you guys is teaching you guys how all this stuff works. But I think we're doing pretty well, guys. I'm learning a lot, and I'm pretty sure I'm learning the right stuff as we go. So we're doing pretty good, guys. I'm using the knowledge we've learned in the past to keep going, and I'm learning more from this car. But let's go ahead and get some more boxes, some big boxes. This one is one of my favorites, guys. I know exactly what's in this box just by reading the label on the side, but just check this one out, guys. This has a lot of packaging on it. This right here is a brand new engine cover. Oh my goodness, guys, that is crispy. And you guys know what this is. This is just to make the engine look pretty. And I cannot wait to slap this thing on, guys. Honestly, probably up there with one of the best engine covers I've seen. I know it's like a really large piece of plastic, but it's got red striping and it's got an actual Toyota emblem right there. This thing's pretty sick. I like this engine cover, and this was pricey, guys. This was almost 300 bucks. All right, guys, this next one right here. Oh, wow. This next one right here is actually poking through the bottom of the box, and I just cut my hand on it. This right here is probably one of the last pieces that's gonna go on the car. Oh, I really like the way this box opens. I'll put it right here on my chair so you guys can see it. Is a very large aluminum skid plate. I cannot wait to slap this thing in, guys, but yes, this is very, very nice. Tires. So we all know what tires are and what they do. These go on the outside of your rim, and this is what your car rides on. You get a flat one of these, then maybe you replace it or you patch it. Depends on how badly the tire is damaged, but these essentially hold air and let your car drive on the road without sounding like a big clunky thing, because you need tires on your car. You need tires. These are Michelin Pilot Super Sports 255/35 ZR19s, and I think you guys know which part comes next. That's right, the rims. Let's check them out. So the next 3 boxes that we have left to unbox for this car is 2 rims for the front, and then a very large box right there that has the exhaust in it, guys. But let's go ahead and open these rims. Let me show you guys these rims right here. So the first one of these we already opened up at the dealership, guys, just to check it out, make sure it was the right color. You guys are gonna love these. Take a look at this, guys. Booyah.
Brand new.
Guys, those look absolutely sick. Yes, they are brand new, and they're satin black, guys, or matte black. These are super, super sick. I cannot wait to put these on the car, guys. These wheels are replacing the skinnies that are on it right now. Those kind of just look funny to me, and they took all the mods off that car, and right now we're just focused on getting that car running and driving again, so it doesn't need skinnies. I want to put everything original back on this car.
It looks way better.
Stocks look way better on this car because they're very nice wheels, and there's only 600 of these cars in the world. So I want to build this car right. I want to make sure it looks very close to OEM because there's only 600 examples made. We are going to be throwing some more carbon fiber at it though, of course, because it is a carbon fiber edition. It's only right to do that. But we are going to be making sure that this car is like a Toyota, just reliable, you know, and works good and looks good. So
Yeah.
for now, we're going to be putting these wheels on it, guys, and I'm extremely proud of it because these wheels are amazing. And then in this other box is the exact same wheel. There's really no need to open that. Okay, I can tell some of you guys want me to open it. Okay, fine, here we go. All right, let's check it out, okay? Let's see what we got here.
Oh yeah.
Booyah!
Looks just like it.
Yeah, so we got two 19-inch rims right here, guys, for those sweet Michelin tires to be mounted on. So these are gonna look pretty sick, but now we open these, the last box left is that big old exhaust. All right, guys, now we're gonna open the exhaust stuff. I believe this exhaust is shipped in 4 sections, so we are gonna have to weld it, but it is an OEM exhaust, guys, with valves and everything still on it. So let's just take a look at this thing. Oh, snap.
This is the same thing.
Look at this. We did say the same thing. Oh, wow. So I believe this is your resignator. This is one of the pipes right here.
It looks like it's in a little tough condition.
No, they come like that. That's your other pipe right there, and I'm sure this big old box is probably... No, it's actually surprisingly light. But this is your muffler right here, and right there are your valves. So that right there is a full exhaust, guys. And now we've made quite a bit of a mess here opening all these boxes and showing all these parts to you guys. But now you guys get a bit of a better idea of what the condition of that Supra is. But we got all the parts right here, guys, and it's definitely a challenge to put this thing back together. But I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. I think we can get this thing put back together. And now you guys know what this car consists of parts-wise. So it's a lot of stuff, but it's going to be epic when that car's done, guys. I'm thinking... real time, I'm thinking this car might be done in less than a month. I'm hoping for 2 weeks time, but that all comes down to one thing right now, and that's if we can program that key. All right, guys, so now back to the whole topic about programming this whole key situation going on here. So as you guys remember, when I was showing you guys previously in this engine bay, we had a couple of grounds disconnected that go to the fuel rails. These are for the ECU. So we previously had tried to get the code reader on this car just to scan it, but it would not communicate with this car. It was saying that it was having trouble connecting to the ECU. I had no idea what that meant because I didn't think that anything on this ECU was disconnected until I found these 2 grounds. So what's missing over here, this fuel rail goes under here like this, and then this part of the ground slides into right here like so, and same with this other one in the back here. And those get tightened down with one nut here and one nut there. That gives ground to that ECU right there. And then in theory, I'm hoping that fixes our communication issue with the car. So the way we're gonna be doing that is, well, come over here, I'll explain. It's right here on the table. So this is everything we need to get this ECU hopefully working. So right now, we're just going to try to get this ECU working. We're not putting in injectors or anything, so we're just putting in this bare thing. We're not putting in any injectors or anything on it. We're just gonna put the rail in. All right, guys, we had a little bit of a scare. I thought we were 2 bolts short because I saw 1, 2, and then I noticed there's 2 more holes here. And I was thinking, wait, hold on. It was actually way more than 2, but I could only find 2 screws. But my brother right here behind the camera, he found the other bag I had made. So there's actually 2 extras we have. So this rail takes a total of 4 bolts, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's how we're gonna get it into the car right there. And then this nut just goes on right over here onto this, and it grounds those ECU wires. But here's the thing, this is the OEM bolt right here, or the OEM nut, and we could not find, we needed another one of these because we were missing it. We could not find one of these. The dealership tried everything to find it. So we took, luckily we had one. So we took it to Aces the Place with the Helpful Hardware folks, and they found us one exactly like that, same thread, same everything, flawless. So we're gonna go ahead, guys, and we're gonna pop this fuel injector in and see if we can get ECU reading on this car, and hopefully we can get this key programmed. If not, then ultimately we're just gonna have to finish the car as it is and figure out some real creative solution to get this thing towed out of here, because the rear e-brake is locked up right now because it's electronic. The way to turn it off is with the key, which we don't have. So hopefully this programs. If it doesn't, we're gonna have to somehow tow it to the dealership when it's done so they can program one. But I think this should work, so let's go ahead, put this rail in and see if we can get this thing programmed. The first bit of work on this car has begun. Exciting stuff. Plop, 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 and plop. Oh my guys, I'm getting so excited. All of them have been hand threaded. Whenever you guys are doing anything with an engine, if you're screwing anything onto the engine, make sure you hand thread it first to make sure the threads catch correctly, because you definitely do not want to strip the inside of your block. That would be awful. Also, when tightening things onto your engine block, be extra cautious. When you're screwing stuff into an engine, for example, this fuel rail right here, this is very stiff metal right here. It's not likely to bend at all. So if you're screwing something in and it has multiple bolts that hold it in, kind of work in a sequence. Don't do one all the way and then something else all the way, because then if it didn't sit properly and you're screwing it down over here, it's likely that it'll strip the threads inside of your engine because it won't flex. It'll just rip it right out. So be very careful with that. Just do it in sequence, just little bit by little bit. Slow and steady wins the race, and you guys should be good with that. Oh wow, look at that. It just lined right up, guys. All right, let's get those nuts and tighten this in. I'm getting so excited. All right, there we are with our nuts right there. Definitely do not want to drop these. These are very miniature. Okay, there's one. A lot of stuff in this engine bay is still loose, guys. We have tons of stuff to tighten here, but I'm hoping that this grounds the ECU properly and we're able to program our key, because I'd love to just start with having a programmed key so we can test this car when it's all done. All right, guys, those grounds are in. Let's go ahead and put a booster pack to this thing and see if we got ECU communication. All right, guys, this is moment of truth. If it can decode the VIN information, then we're good. If it can't, then we still have a problem. No, guys. No. What could it be? Unfortunately, there was zero luck in getting that key programmed or even getting the ECU to communicate. I do know that these Toyota Supras do give some people a challenge when they do try to hook up their code readers. Like, programming these cars is not an easy task, so maybe Toyota just locks these ECUs from factory for people to even be able to scan them. The only thing I'm able to do with the code reader is I'm able to scan the car. That's all it does. It does not let me look further into the codes because it just says ECU does not support this function, or it says VIN decoding failed, or it says ECU lost communication. It says things like that over and over again, and I've tried everything. I tried putting this thing in as a Toyota. I tried putting this thing in as a BMW 3 Series. I even tried putting this thing in as a Lexus, because Toyota does own parts of Lexus, and in each one of those brands I did get further and further into the system to communicate with this car, but at the end it always loses communication. It's really, really weird. So I'm not sure what's going on with this thing, guys, but we did give it our best go. We gave it our best go. We went ahead and we tightened up all those grounds and got the fuel rails in place. So now we do know that the ECU is grounded, but it still will not communicate. So here's what I'm thinking, guys. I think our best bet is to go ahead, put together this entire car, and then give it another go. I'm thinking after everything is plugged up, the fuel pump is communicating, the mass airflow sensor is communicating, the turbocharger is communicating, everything. I just think if all the sensors are plugged in, if everything is communicating, I feel like maybe that might just do it, or maybe it won't, but I guess we won't know until we try it in the future, guys. So that's what the next video of this car is gonna be, guys, is we're gonna go ahead and dive into this engine. We're gonna start putting this entire engine together. We're gonna put the turbocharger in, all the fuel injectors, we're gonna put in all the hoses, the pipes, the gaskets. We're gonna put this entire engine together, guys, and this whole engine is gonna be complete in the next video. Hopefully we have all the parts we need, and hopefully we don't find anything else wrong with the engine, unless it's just something unplugged that will give us power to the ECU and maybe communication. But guys, that is going to be all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. In today's video, we went ahead and we talked more further about this car. Now you guys know the history behind this car, what happened to it and how it came to be. And we went ahead, we picked up all the parts, over there at the Toyota dealership, and we went over all the parts here, and we basically talked about all the damages on this car, guys, and we did start fixing it a little bit too in today's video. But that is all for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys are loving this Supra build, then be sure to go down below, hit that like button. While you're at it, there's a shiny red subscribe button that you should click. I'm also posting behind the scenes sneak peeks, previews of everything, of all the builds actually, anything that we are doing here on the YouTube channel, or maybe if we're not even doing it on the YouTube channel, it's just for fun. I am posting things on Instagram, guys, so I'll have that link down below. Go ahead and check that out, and please drop a follow if you do. But guys, that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.